Welcome back. Well, if you're looking for the peak in regards to efficiency when it comes to harvesting, look no further than Case IH. We're here at White's Farm Supply at the Canastota store, one of 5 locations in upstate New York. And joining me right now is Nathan Graham. And Nathan, we just went through some training on this beautiful machine behind us here. And this is really going to aid the man out in the field. Even if he's a seasoned man, he's really going to enjoy what you'll be able to do here. Is that right?
That is correct. What we have behind us is Case IH's Axial Flow Combine, our new 250 series that features Harvest Command, which is a combine automated system. So it takes a lot of the major functions that an operator would normally do in the field and automates them. Now, the operator does have an opportunity to fine-tune those systems for their operation, their field, their state, so it does help them out quite a bit. We've really had a lot of good experiences in the field with them so far. We've been with about 20 machines this year, and we've been able to get down to less than 1/10 of a bushel loss in the wheat field, so that is a good thing.
That is amazing. And it's almost like Case IH decided to design this specifically for upstate New York, where it's not flat. We got ups and hills and angles, but this will accommodate it all to make sure we get everything we need and be quite efficient. Is that right?
Absolutely, absolutely. As we go through, the operator can fine-tune the system. We can make the system more relaxed or more nimble based on the crop that's in front of them. It knows what crop you're harvesting by what you put in. Let's say we're harvesting corn, and even if you don't have a great year or you have moisture issues during the year, drought, our corn can really vary from place to place in the field, and we can have our Harvest Command system be nimble enough that when it sees that variation in the yield, that it makes the proper adjustments to keep as much grain in the tank as possible.
So if we're doing 80 on the hilltop and maybe 150 in the valleys, it will adjust quickly.
Yes, it will, and the operator has full authority of how quickly this machine will adjust. But yes, you are correct. We do control all the major functions inside of the combine as far as threshing and separating and cleaning. On top of that, we also control the speed. So we can, if we get to those situations, hilltops and valleys or swales in a field where it might be a little wetter, the combine will very quickly adjust speed to keep a uniform crop flow coming into the machine for optimal threshing, separating, and cleaning.
Now, as I understand, to accomplish that, you have 16 separate sensors on this that will kind of act as a brain to adjust where you want it to be so you can dial it in specific for your location.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that 16. I always mention that we have 16 sensors because it does tend to give people a little bit of pause. But then we very easily go through what sensors are actually running it, and folks, and I go through the list of the sensors, and folks are actually like, oh, well, I've always had that sensor. And I said, yes, we're using a lot of what you already have on your combine. For example, sieve actuators to open and close your sieves, pre-sieve, upper sieve, lower sieve. There's 3 sensors right there. Our rotor speed. We do have a couple new ones, those being the sieve pressure sensors on the rear of the combine, our cage vanes, which are on top of the cage, which allow us to speed or slow down the crop mat going through the machine, and then the true meat and potatoes of the system is our camera. So we're actually taking pictures of the grain as it goes up the clean grain elevator, so we can see grain quality. We can see material other than grain, which really helps us clean up our sample, which we've always been known for as having an extremely clean sample.
And the number of variables that this can adjust from goes beyond just crop yield. I mean, if we have a big hurricane moving up the East Coast and we want to get out there and put it all away fast, it'll accommodate that as well.
You're exactly right. The designers at Case IH really thought this one through in a very simplistic way, very intuitive to the operator, but they can pick how they want the combine to perform. So we actually have 4 strategies that we can use. Most folks are going to be in the performance strategy, and I say most folks, it'll probably be about 96% of people will be in a performance strategy. These guys are going to be looking for their losses to be king of the day. They don't want grain on the ground. They want want it in their pocketbook. So we'll look at our rotor loss and sieve loss sensors to kind of command the day. We also have a best grain quality setting, which will take our camera into account. It does not get rid of rotor and sieve losses, but it will look at the camera first and make sure that we really have a nice clean sample. We have undamaged grains before it looks at the other aspects of the machine or other parameters of the machine. Then we have a maximum throughput, which you alluded to. If we have storms coming, or we have adverse weather in any respect coming, and they need to get in and out of the field quickly, we do have a maximum throughput mode, which will run as much as the combine will run through the field, up to 120% engine power. So really asking for all that our FPT engine has to offer to get it through. It will then look at our losses a little later down the line, but what it's going for is speed and productivity in the field. And then our last one is fixed throughput, and this is for the guy who generally sees his combine sitting in the field for a half an hour waiting on trucks. We can actually use the fixed throughput mode, let's say 2,000 bushels an hour, because that's what the gentleman can get out of the field. That's what the grain dryer can take at any given time. So we can actually set the machine to run that 2,000 bushels an hour. So his operator doesn't race through for the first 20 minutes to sit for the next 40 minutes waiting on trucks. So it does give the operator, the customer, a lot of variation. Although it is an automated system, the customer has a lot of say in how that machine runs and works in his crops.
Well, you know, even for a seasoned combine operator, it can be very challenging, and this is just another very powerful tool to make them efficient to be able to get the job done.
Absolutely. I see some pushback from some of the guys that really know their machines, and they're like, you know, I know my machine just fine. I don't need an automated combine. And I do caution those guys that although your good operator is going to make 6 to 8 major adjustments throughout the day, and they do a fine job at it, this machine can make an adjustment every minute, every pass, so it's going to get those little nuances that maybe the seasoned operator might have missed. And I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that 2 or 3 weeks into harvest time at 11 o'clock at night, having to fill that last hopper bottom just to be out the very next day, you're probably a lot less in tune, whereas Harvest Command will not get tired, whether it be 9 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night, whether it be the first day of harvest or the 31st day of harvest, it will run the same.
Well, I tell you what, a very powerful tool for all of you out there who would like to take a look at you know, automation. You can log on to the White's website, whitesfarmsupply.com. And Nathan, I want to thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.